The people that bought gold, they bought it because they wanted to control their own money. They wanted control over their life. And Bitcoin is that times a million times better. Because I can show up at your ranch in Zimbabwe and put a gun to your head and shoot you and take your gold, and I can take your ranch. I could take everything you own. But on the other hand, if you know that someone's coming for your Bitcoin in 20 minutes, you can move it 8,000 miles for $2.
Yeah.
And even if they shoot you, they're not getting it. Yeah. Right? And try smuggling a bar of gold through a metal detector. I mean, when you need to move, you won't be able to. And so Bitcoin appeals to someone that wants to control their own destiny and have a store of value that's all theirs. And you don't have to live in fear that the mayor, the governor, the president, a regulator, the bank will seize it from you. And so that's why it's so compelling. By the way, there's one other reason it's compelling, which is, in addition, first argument is Bitcoin is pharmaceutical grade gold, all the virtues, none of the hangover. That's the first element. The second element is Bitcoin is big tech monetary network. It's Facebook for money. When you put that Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network, then you've got all of the benefits of being able to move the gold at the speed of light around the earth, and you can program it so it's 1,000,000 times faster and it's 1,000,000 times smarter. You're never going to bark at Alexa, send $10,000 worth of gold to my sister in Australia. Yes, sir, it's done. But you can say send 10,000 of Bitcoin to my sister in Australia. Apple can program Bitcoin into the iPhone, right? And so think of is what I said. It's like, Kodak is how we used to store our photos. We take a photo and we put it in a shoebox in our attic.
Right.
Bitcoin, and Apple is how we store our photos today. You take a photo with your camera and it goes in the iCloud. So Bitcoin is the same way. It's like you want to store your money. Instead of putting it in gold in the basement, you dematerialize it to Bitcoin. You put it in cyberspace. And now, as the computer gets better, as the iPhone gets better, as the networks get faster, your money gets better. Nobody is ever going to program a new feature into gold. They're never going to make it better.
Yes.
God's done with it. 5,000 years. The last innovation in gold was when they created the 400-ounce gold bar, London Good Delivery bar, that looked pretty, that you could put into a vault that someone else controls, but not you. Try walking through an airport with one of those bars in your pocket.
400 ounces. How much is that? Like 20 pounds? 20 pounds? 25?
Hey, Ben, can you imagine Michael at a boardroom talking about Bitcoin? Because I'm convinced that Bitcoin is 1,000,000 times better than gold in like 3 minutes. So think about this guy walking in a boardroom and trying to convince them to buy $425 million worth of Bitcoin.
Well, that was actually, Michael, that was actually one of my next questions. And I thought this was fascinating. And I will not make you identify said person, but you said you presented to the board, hey, this is my plan. I want to buy all this Bitcoin. And you had essentially one dissenting member. And you said, okay, set up a meeting with the dissenting member. And you sit down with him. And the funny thing is, listen, the guy's like, I own Bitcoin. And so the point is that he had to publicly be against or be cautious of the investment. But privately, he realizes, like you realize, and I realize, and John realizes, that this is the way to go.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people that they all secretly, they know this is a good idea. But they're not quite sure what the other people in the room will think. So publicly, they're conservative. It's like, oh, it's a new idea. We'll just be careful and we should be skeptical because they think that's the mature, prudent thing. But then when you get them one-on-one, they're like, oh, yeah, I own it. Yeah, it's a good, great. So a lot of times you just have to give them the right way to support you, and you got to give them, their privacy and their ability, the time for them to come around, because it's such a compelling idea. Like, why wouldn't you want pharmaceutical grade gold that solves all your problems and will keep your wealth for 100 years and no one can screw it up. Who doesn't want that? So you're just like, well, it's such a good idea. It's better than stocks. It's better than bonds. It's better than real estate. It's better than cash. It's better than seashells. It's better than buying, a motorcycle collection to store your family's wealth for 100 years.
Michael, you tell John wants to buy a damn watch collection, and I've been trying to tell him it's a terrible idea. You tell him, stop buying a watch collection, just buy Bitcoin.
You can buy things you love. It's just that they're not going to double in price every year or go up in value by a factor of 2 every year. And you Bitcoin does. So.
Okay. Listen. I am assuming Elon Musk, the space guy, the astronaut guy, I'm sure he's watching this live stream right now, very secretly, conservatively, but privately, I know he owns some Bitcoin. I know he's going to call Michael here in a little bit and be like, yo, Michael, how do I get my $1 billion into Bitcoin, man? Tell me what's up. Well, so, Mr. Elon, let me tell you something. Call my boy, Mike. Yeah. What are you going to regret? Don't be like Dave Portnoy.
Well, Michael, I actually saw that tweet conversation where he said, can you actually do that? Can you do transactions that big? Do you think he was – sometimes people don't put all their knowledge out there. They kind of leave it – when he says, can you really do that? Do you think he really was asking that question, or do you think he was putting that out there to make it seem like he wasn't as serious, or maybe even to educate other people? Because I'm sure there's some other people who said you probably can't do that, or they think that. Do you think that was a serious question, or how do you feel about that?
I think he's pretty brilliant, and I think a lot of people have they have a hard time keeping up with him. But here's what I think about the Tesla opportunity. Tesla's like doing $40 billion in revenue, and if the company generates $4 billion in earnings, that's kind of interesting. Now, what do you want to do next? Well, you want to double the stock price. You want, how do you create the next 600 or 700 billion dollars in market cap? Well, if you take Tesla, I think it's got between 15 and 20 billion dollars in cash.
Yep.
If you take $20 billion in cash, your 20 billion in USD is a liability. You're losing 15% of the purchasing power every year for the next 5 years, because the Fed and the central banks are going to keep printing money, and so the assets that you want to buy are going to get more expensive. The purchasing power is going to deteriorate. Yes. So I got a $20 billion liability. I got to put that money to work. If I convert the $20 billion of USD into Bitcoin, BTC, and by the way, Bitcoin's been going up more than 100% a year versus the US dollar on average for the last decade. Okay, so let's be very conservative. Let's not assume it doubles every year for the next 5 years, even though people that really talk to Satoshi routinely know, right? Let's not assume. Let's say that I was briefing a board of directors and they're saying, what are you talking about, Saylor? You said that this is $100 billion gift to the shareholders and it'll be $1 trillion gift. Here's what I meant. Take your 20 billion, convert it to BTC, and if Bitcoin goes up 20%, a 20% appreciation per year, that's $4 billion. So your $4 billion in operating income gets augmented by $4 billion in investment income. You have doubled the operating income of the company within 12 weeks. Now give me any other company strategy or any corporate strategy where you can double the income of a company in 12 weeks with a financial strategy. And the reason it's going to work is because every corporation on earth has the same problem. Their cash flows or liabilities, and they all need to solve the problem. So you buy into it. The price of Bitcoin is going to keep going up. If it goes up at the rate it's been going up, your 20 billion is going to increase, the income of the company by a factor of 5, over the next 12 months, right? Yeah. Well, let's take my company. My company we thought we were going to generate 60 to 90 million in cash flow
from the purchase
6 months ago. Before the purchase. Before we purchased Bitcoin, we thought we were going to generate 60 to 90 million in cash flow. Well, Well, then we bought some Bitcoin and we had 500 million worth of Bitcoin. And then if the Bitcoin went up by 20%, now you're going to generate 100 million plus 75 million in income plus operating income. So now you're 175 million. Then Bitcoin doubled and we had $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. And now you're going to generate at 20%, you're going to generate 200 million plus 75 million. And then we borrowed 650 million. And last week, I bought $1,000 worth of Bitcoin every second in the evenings and the weekends. And I bought $2,000 worth of Bitcoin every second during the day.